right? And I would like, when I was preparing for this presentation, everyone is recommending to ask a question for the audience. And I am prepared. I would like to ask you a question. Is it leads you're looking for? Is it why you came today? If so, I hope to answer some of your unasked questions. And I will cover today a lead generation stack. We will talk about how to create a website in a way that it is generating leads, generating conversions. A short intro on me. I am ex-iOS Android developer. I'm running Awesome Studio with my co-founders for 13 years now. We are doing WordPress and WooCommerce websites for technology companies. And I also run a podcast called Awesome to Know, where I talk with different guests about building great websites. After hours, I run train for 10K races, and before hours, I practice Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And this was about me, so I ran through it. And when I'm thinking about WordPress websites and WordPress as the technology, we all know that it is saturating like a 40% of the market, roughly, right? You own the code, you can run it on-premise, you can do everything with the code you want, yet there are so many bad websites. You can do everything with that website, but we know that not every website is great. And when I'm, based on like my personal experience, why is that? That with so much power, control over the code, why there are so many websites that are not generating conversions? And when I'm thinking about this, I think about three problems. Problem number one is a disconnection. So you go to the website and this is a mess, in the sense that a lot of different components scattered around the website, no glued, holding it all together. There is no streamlined process for browsing such a website. Problem number two is implementation problem. So even in case where, for example, marketing knows what to do on that website, they know a little bit of theory, they know what to do, they don't know how to do this. And so we end up with a situation where we have those scattered components. Not everything is working right, not everything is streamlined. And problem number three is the psychology problem, where, for example, business people within the organization are, for example, dictating what the website is saying, what's written on the website. And so we end up in a situation where the content on the website is written by business people who are thinking about the product, how good the product is, and so on and so forth. But this doesn't solve a visitor problem. So that the content is written for the business, by the business people, but not for the visitor. This content and all of those components are not solving visitor problem. The results are not only burn a pile of cash by this, but it can manifest by, for example, high traffic and low conversions. So you have a lot of traffic, but you don't get any result from the traffic. And to give you a perspective, we are guilty of it as well. One example would be from our own field, our own garden. In 2017, we have created an ebook that was meant to gather a lot of traffic, provide a lot of value to our potential visitors. So we spent a couple of weeks, I would say 3-4 weeks, crafting that ebook. It was called Instagram for Business. And so this was a massive success, I would say. We had so much traffic from that ebook, people coming to read that ebook. It was, big piece of content. It was 2017, pre-ChatGPT. Now we think about this type of content differently, but back then it was a lot of investment for us to spend time and energy on that. What it resulted in was a lot of traffic, but we didn't have conversions from that traffic coming from that ebook. It also led to poor conversion, poor leads quality, because even if we had some conversion, even if we had some leads from that traffic, that leads were not qualified for type of services we were providing. It was a wasted investment. All of that time and money was spent in a bad way. And if you are spending money, time, effort, mental capacity on something for such a long time, you are missing other opportunities. It's like by definition, if you do one thing, you cannot do, no, you can do only one thing at a time, right? So if we know what not to do, how do you focus on what to do? And this is what I will try to talk about during today's presentation. We have covered the intro. Now we will move to conversion fundamentals so that we have some kind of a common understanding of the concepts of conversions. We will map the funnel, and then we will talk about a little bit about technology behind all of that. So let's talk about conversion fundamentals. And no recipe is just one ingredient. Like with success, no success is due to just one element. It is always a number of elements that help each other. It's like with overnight success. There's no such a thing as overnight success. When you hear about the company's overnight success, it's also, very often it turns out that the company is in the business for 8 years, or a founder was gathering experience for 15 years. So in our case, when we are talking about lead generation, we need to have a conversion and then have a lead. We need to have a traffic. That's obvious. You have to have the eyeballs on your website. You have to have the offering that you are going to sell, whether this is a service or a product. You have to build trust for that visitors, and you have to have the technology that would enable all of that. And only from those powers, we can generate conversion that would turn into a lead. So what is a conversion? It's any new action. And this is a very broad term, because depending on your particular situation, what you want to measure may differ. And we can talk about micro and macro conversions. And for micro conversions, these are small things like someone read a blog post, someone watched your video, someone followed you on social. But for the macro conversions, this is what you mean by conversion. When you talk with other people, this is what you want to achieve, macro conversions. These are form submissions, these are contact forms sent out. Obviously purchases, because purchase is the ultimate conversion. Someone bought your product or booked a demo. And when we are talking about leads, lead is a conversion plus contact details. So if you compare these, macro conversions are also by definition leads, because someone left your contact details for you, and contact details are gold. You want to have contact details because then you can automate outreach, you can automate warming up the leads so that they can then at the end convert from being just a lead, so a contact details in a database, into a customer who is leaving money for you. And to make that difference more clear, if someone watched a video on your homepage, a tutorial for example, it's just a conversion, it's a micro conversion. But if someone signed up for a webinar, you have that details, you can then follow up with more information. It's a conversion. And to understand a little bit better how a visitor is transferring into a paying customer, we have to define something called journey. It's called customer journey, awareness to decision journey, and there are a couple of stages through the purchasing process everyone is going through. Like every one of you, if you are buying something online or offline, you are going through those stages. So first stage is the awareness, then you go through interest, consideration, and then end up with a decision. How they are different. Awareness is when you know you have a problem. You have a problem, you are looking for a solution. Let's say my problem is, my website is not generating enough revenue. And you look for that problem. Like, why my website is not generating enough revenue? You type it to Google, right? And you get a lot of content talking about, oh, you have no ads, or you have poor SEO, your website is slow, or you have to write more content. These are solutions to that problem you defined. And then let's say you pick up a given solution, which should be, my website is slow, I want to make my website faster. And then you move from awareness to interest. You are looking to understand how you can make your website faster if this is what you want to do. And within the interest phase, you are looking for different solutions to make your website faster. So awareness is about problem, interest is about different solutions. So you Google how I can make my website faster, and there are like plugins, you can switch hosting, you can hire an agency to make your website faster, or maybe you can rewrite this from scratch. You're looking for options here. And then you pick a given solution. You move from interest to consideration. Let's say you pick the plugin. You move further in that funnel to consideration. You are considering which product will solve my, which plugin will solve my problem. And then you are reading about these particular products that match that solution definition. And if when you pick the plugin, you are moving to decision. How this maps into content on your website. This is very important. This is a clue. Like, this is the most important part of this presentation, in my opinion, because this is what is missed by a lot of people. They have those scattered elements. They have CTAs in random places because it will look cool in that place. Or they are spending time and money on rebranding their website, not solving the root cause of their problem, which is not converting a website that is not driving conversion. So to understand this a little bit better, you have to also understand how these people are behaving on the internet and how they land on your website. So when you are looking at the awareness, people will look for generic terms like why my website is not driving conversions. This is covered by general, let's say, content pieces. But things get more interesting when they are more specific, when they are considering different solutions. This is where, for example, webinars or guides or ebooks like our ebook, they should be generating traffic that is landing on your website. And it's getting even more interesting when you are getting considered by your customers, where your company, you're offering your product, is being compared to other solutions. So this is where you have to build trust. The trust that I mentioned in those 4 squares. You have to build trust with all the communication on your website through case studies or comparison tables or testimonials like social proofs. And when you get picked, that phase moves to the decision, and you have to remove all of the obstacles the website can create for your customer. So for the purchasing, for example, of physical product, what you can also see sometimes is that the checkout process doesn't show the menu. There is nothing else than only the checkout process, because it is streamlined to remove all the distractions that would break the process of purchasing. And this is the same for forms that are available on websites or booking for demos, for example. Decision has to be made as swiftly as possible. And to give you an example from Zapier, it will cover first 2 and the last one stages: awareness, interest, and decision. Zapier is famous for massive amount of SEO traffic and a massive amount of content. They have blog posts about, I think, nearly everything. If you Google anything, you will get an ad on any technical topic you can imagine that will drive you to their blog posts. Why is that? Because their strategy is that they will gather a massive amount of traffic that they will, within that website, will try to convert into leads, and then do these leads into paying customers. So, for example, if you look for something related to writing content with AI, you will get up a very long, very valuable piece of content on Zapier blog. But when you scroll down just a little bit, you will get up with seeing this orange square which is embedded in the content. And this is a cue to get deeper into following your interest in this AI. When you click Learn How, I don't say my mouse, but when you click Learn How, you will enter a new blog post, much shorter, but ending with invitation to test some things from Zapier. So the first blog post is very long, very non-Zapier. Then, if you are interested a little bit in that solution that they are providing and you don't know yet, and this is production with AI and automation, speeding up the content production. You are interested in that, you are getting qualified a little bit more. You enter that blog post and it's so much shorter, and ends with something about Zapier. And then the last part, which is super interesting, is that pop-up try Zapier. Because maybe you are a returning visitor for a third time or fourth time, and maybe you are ready to try Zapier. And then you can quickly sign up. So it's super interesting in life. I don't want to play any videos here, but when you scroll down, you suddenly see that orange button, that orange square, and suddenly try Zapier pops up. And this is super natural to follow that cue and so be pushed to the right side of those swim lanes a little bit. So this funnel is pushing you a little bit farther until you make a purchase. See, this is all possible on WordPress. You just have to know a little bit of a human psychology and patterns and how to streamline that traffic farther and farther down the funnel. And to give you an example how it actually works, how it looks like, this is a real example from our website. So I have that data, I can share that data with you, it's anonymized, and this is an interesting case for a couple of reasons. Reason number one, 13 pages visited, homepage plus 12 others. Someone spent a lot of time on our website learning about our solution and clicked 12 times on the links. They started at the homepage, good point to start, and went through our offerings. For me, as the business owner, what's interesting is that they came to maintenance plans. This tells me that this was the second thing they wanted to see, maintenance plans. I'm getting insights from what they did on our website that I can maybe later use in the discussion with them as a client. They also went obviously to the contact, they read about us, they are getting to know us, right? They saw our blog, they saw our works. They are more and more interesting. They went back to the contact and again maintenance page. This is rolling pattern. They are looking, I know from this pattern that they want some kind of a maintenance service. What I can draw a conclusion from this is that they maybe have a website and they want to have maintenance because something bad is happening with their agency, their stack, whatever. This is the product they are looking for. What's ending this sequence is message sent. Viewed, message sent. One at the top. This is a page the customers see when they send a contact form to us. To send that contact form, they have to accept GDPR checkbox, obviously. And what's even more interesting is that they successfully signed up for our newsletter. So not only learned about our offering, sent out the form, they also signed up for the newsletter. Like this is one of the most engaged customer on our website, and when I read the form, it was like this long. It was super long, and they referenced that they visited the maintenance page. I replied, what happened then? Nothing. I was ghosted. So even though you have a person who spent, by the way, they spent over an hour and 10 minutes doing that. They spent a ton of time visiting our website, and then I was ghosted. Irrational behavior, but you know, it happens. And compare this to this one. 1 minute spent on the website. Just 1 minute. Someone landed on the agency page, on our homepage, went straight to contact and just sent a form. Done. 1 minute. What does it tell you compared to this? An hour spent on our website reading stuff, less than 1 minute. It's me. So sorry?
It was already in a different funnel step.
Exactly. They were just looking for a provider. They knew what they had a problem with, or so they thought. They knew they have WordPress, they knew all of those things. So when you look at that funnel, awareness, decision, consideration, and so on, it means that all of that happened outside of our website. It doesn't mean we have to educate our client from the very beginning to the very end. It means it is a natural process that you have multiple points of contact with knowledge. You gain the understanding even with conversations with other people. You can't track that, right? But what I can say by that client is that they are looking for a solution. They are maybe on a stage where they are just considering different proposals. They may be fishing for proposals. They want the cheapest price or even service, right? So much different behavior from a customer, and we can know about that based on the analytics, on the insights our website can create. So there is a massive amount of information your website can generate for you, but you have to have proper tools and you have to have it properly set up so that you can draw those conclusions. How to do this? There are a couple of layers on WordPress stack, right? We have the WordPress core, which is the foundation. We know all of that. Content structure, then post type taxonomies. I won't cover these two parts because so many other presentations are covering, technical things within WordPress core. Where I want to start is user experience layer, and then follow with other parts. So user experience layer is like combination of all of the tools that make your website a great experience for your customers. This is on one hand, layout of the content. This is how the content is displayed. This is how it behaves. For example, this can be manifested by personalization. You are a returning customer, you have different communication. You enter with different language, you have language in your native browser or your geographic location. All of that has to be done in order for the customer to have as good experience as he can. But for you, this means that you will your customer will have a better experience. You can influence that behavior. Then we have a conversion layer. This is where what allows you to gather the leads. Forms, buttons for booking demos, checkout process is that part, right? Which is basically a fancy long process with a form at the end. So these conversions are enabled by mainly forms. Question to you. We have exactly similar amount of information from those two types of contacts. Email form, sending email or sending a form. Notice this is like, the form is just email and message, and email is an email, right? Which one or two, would provide you more insights? And if you are for email, number one, raise your hands. Okay, number two, yes. Maybe I was too obvious with this example, right? Because form is sitting on your website, you can hook up the analytics. If you have a CRM, it will be automatically integrated the lead with all the history, with all the insights. It will sit in one place, be managed for GDPR and all that. You can get so much information from the lead. How it's done in the backend? It's a simple process. Your form is getting submitted to WordPress. WordPress notifies you, so you get the notification on your mailbox, but at the same time it is pushed to CRM. With all of this, this package is created and pushed to CRM for you to manage. So there is the contact details, the permission to be contacted, GDPR, checkboxes, and the history, for example. And this lets you then later on automate that. I won't be covering automation here, but when you have that contact details and all of these permissions, you can reach out to these customers. And this is why it's so important to have a database of contacts, because then you can revive them. If you have a commerce platform, then you can send out promos. You can, try to revive the baskets, the abandoned carts. This is how it's done. And to integrate that, you can have, for CRMs, for example, you have native plugins, like HubSpot has its own, and the plugin for WordPress is very simple procedure to get HubSpot do what I just shown you. If the official plugin is not enough, because you have certain workflows, you have to enrich data with something more, you always have the API with every CRM. It obviously requires more work, but you have full control. And then there is a hybrid method of the third option is to use automation with Zapier or Make. You can glue this together and get these similar results without having to hard code. This is like a low code solution with Zapier. And for the analytics is like a balloon which gathers all of those insights and enrich these leads. So all of that history is coming from the analytics part, right? That is pushed through that through data processing layer. And everyone knows about Google Analytics, right? But it is there's so much more other providers of good analytics which are more GDPR or GDPR friendly, but also which you can self-host. And these are simple analytics, pattern analytics, Matomo, for example. We have very good. We observe very good results with Matomo, where the page results are not getting hit as they are with Google Analytics. So I highly encourage you to check out other analytics providers outside of Google ecosystem, because you can be surprised how good they are. Because Google's Analytics is one brand, but there are now so many other options. Funnel visualization tools also go there, so you can see how many people are dropping on given stage. You transition from one stage to another, and how much people are dropping. You can see if you have a huge drop, whereas, for example, for e-commerce, this is interesting, or for SaaS companies, this is very interesting. If you have that journey where your customers are dropping, and then you can improve that part when you see this on visualization, and in order to improve that, you can run A/B tests, for example. And this is another suite of tools that lets you run tests for you to optimize that part that's not working. I will be recapping now, and as a short recap, in my opinion, the content is harder than the tech in this example. I spent so much time on how to structure the website here, not so much on the technology side, because technology I would say is solved. What's not solved is how are you going to structure all of the content for your customers to understand what you are doing, and how to design the journey so that the journey is natural for the visitor on the website. And that journey starts with the awareness, then moves through interest stage, consideration and decision, and your website has to allow natural flow. There can't be any barriers where you would see people dropping off that funnel. And you have to be ready to serve people from all of these groups. Not only focus on content and write a ton of content, but you have to be prepared to convince a person that your company is providing the best solution. And this is quite often neglected area with case studies, with testimonials. This is painful to gather testimonials. You have to talk with your customers about testimonials, gather their permissions to do. But this is where you are converting your customers to clients, as visitors to clients. And all of that builds trust. Without trust, there will be no transaction. And this is, again, the fast website will provide trust, because slow, buggy, bad rendering will not do that, right? But this is obvious. You have to build trust. And when you work with the website, you have to have insights. And to have insights, you have to have these tools that will let you gather these insights. And one of them is analytics suite connected with CRM, so that these two things are not separated. So that you don't match, a given workflow of some customer with some random email, and how are you going to do this? You have to have this all automated, so that this sits in one place, and you can draw conclusions from that. And that would be it. At the end, there is a survey. Please roast me. There are only 3 questions, so I will be very curious to see if I did okay. And I can leave it. And if you have any questions, I will hope I can answer.
So let's get. Yeah. So let's give a big round of applause for Maciej. Thank you for this. Thank you for this presentation, very interesting topic. Now it's time for the questions. Please raise your hand and I will bring you the mic.
Great presentation, I love it. I have a question. You mentioned in the beginning, you were using the Instagram for business as a lead magnet, but what disappointed from you when it didn't work out as you expected? after you explain the whole process, from awareness to decision making, what do you think was a mistake and why you didn't get what you expected? I mean, conversions.
Sure. I appreciate this question. Why we created that? Back then, in 2017, Instagram was developing a lot of functionalities. I think this was the time when they started to promote shopping within Instagram. So we have decided that because our focus was B2B companies, we were not working with individuals, right? So we thought that if someone is going, there will be brands that will want to start selling on Instagram, and this will be adjacent to what we are doing with WooCommerce, for example. So if someone is selling on Instagram, this means they are selling, right? And if they are selling, maybe they will be doing this on WooCommerce. And so we thought that, okay, our core is WordPress and WooCommerce, but maybe if we start doing education around something very new, so we will jump on the wave of Instagram being on top of mind with everyone talking about selling Instagram shops. We will hijack a little bit of that excitement, and we will start getting contacts from established brands. This never happened. What we were getting, the questions we were getting were from individuals who are thinking about trying out e-commerce through Instagram because this was what they knew. They knew Instagram, and okay, I want to start selling my t-shirts, let's do this through Instagram. I know nothing about selling on Instagram, so this is a nice ebook, I will write this, I will ask them. So first of all, there were very little questions, very little contacts, forms sent, originating in that traffic. And even when they were not companies. They were either solo companies, individual people companies, or tiny businesses which wouldn't match our customer profile. We never had any real sized customer from that traffic.
So in other words, the offer didn't match your ideal customer. You are getting answer from small businesses and people who want to sell the t-shirts, and your ideal customer was
Yeah. So they just couldn't invest in a platform because we are serving a little bit established brands, and these are bigger investments. And if you are starting out and you save some money to start running a business, you made an investment to live off that money and buy some stock, you just can't afford investment in setting up new e-commerce, or you just don't have that e-commerce, even if that would be, for us, it would be servicing, right? Because we can maintain the website. Okay, we are taking over the website. We are, improving this and so on. But you have to have that website in the first place, and this is a big investment, for everyone. Even if you do this alone. Another questions?
Any other questions? Yes, one second.
Thank you. So you mentioned CRM as being an important part for lead generation. But how do you see it with search engine optimization or the Google network itself? So where does that fit into your lead stack?
These are completely separate things because CRM is a way for you to understand what already happened. So this lets you understand what the customer did and what was where I shown the path. This is what CRM lets me do, is analyze stuff. And this is part of the, let's say, analytics. But that CRM, in our case, lets us manage these leads. I can see these leads and I can see their history. I can also hook up, emails we have sent to that lead. We have centralized knowledge about given business, given individual within a client company, and what they do. If I'm sending an email with a link to our website, for example, that will also be recorded with the context of the lead. Imagine how you can do this without that. You can have analytics, but you don't have given individual that you can tie the analytics data to. So you don't have a John Doe on your Google Analytics dashboard. You only have aggregated data, and okay, if you record the time when you send an email, and you will see that link in that email was visited around that time, you can say, okay, my email was opened and my email was the link was clicked. If you have this tied with analytics and CRM, this will be done automatically for you. And I will see, for example, that my link was clicked because these cookies were already stored on someone's device, and I can see that this is a returning customer, this is a returning visitor because they sent out the form, I have the GDPR acceptance, and we exchange emails, and I see, okay, this customer is coming back to our website, they are following up with what we are offering for the website. And without that tool, this is very difficult to do manually, like nearly impossible.
So with leads, you basically mean about, you see it within your web universe, basically, once it's landed on the website. So what other KPIs do you consider then? Being form submission one, but what about, for example, bounce rates and other things that, how do you identify where the customer journey is breaking off or?
Yes, exactly. Bounce rate is one of the metrics that is very important because, but also on each page. If you are running campaigns, this is obviously what your ads agency will pay attention to. What's the bounce rate, right? And you can also discern. You have organic traffic, you have direct traffic, organic search traffic, right? You have direct traffic, so someone knows your brand already. And you have paid and social traffic, right? So depending on that traffic, you will have different bounce rates. If someone knows your website, there should be very low bounce rate because you are being looked for, right? But if you pay for ads, this usually is higher bounce rate. So yes, this is what Analytics Suite provides us the insight, and this is what basically every CRM also provides, because why not integrate all of your analytics into one place, and then you will not leave the CRM. Yes?
Is there any special consideration of the overall concept that you just described for non-profit organizations and fundraising, or is it just the same?
I would say fundraising is exactly the same commercial activity as anyone else. Like if you are NGO and you are fundraising, you are selling also a service, right? You at the end want to raise funds. There will be transition of funds from individual to your organization. So you also want to invest with different means into your website, because this at the end of the day will drive more funds to you. And I would say this is different in terms of communication. You have to write different things, but you also have to build trust and so on. So I would say that these tools are helping you course correct of what you are doing, help you improve your website. This is just a tool for a given means. You want to achieve something, you want to achieve rising sales of shoes, you want to rise improve conversion rate of potential donors that will at the end of the day leave some funds with you. And these tools will just facilitate that, but other than that, it's just the same thing.
Thank you.
We have one more here.
Thank you. If you want to go for leads on social platforms, let's take Meta. Do you go for Meta lead ads, or do you bring them to your website, to your landing page, to the contact form? The background why I'm asking is, if you bring them to your landing page, the landing page is opened in the in-app browser, and you don't have analytics working, actually, essentially. Because with iOS, we have the app tracking settings, 90% is line app tracking, so you won't see it in analytics. So most go for Meta lead ads now. And is there a possibility also to connect Meta leads then to your CRM? Do you have multiple integrations with the CRM then? Can you connect them?
Yes. that would be, you know, per CRM functionality. So you would have to compare, you know, different solutions, different CRMs. But you know, this is such a massive market that I can't see why it shouldn't be the case, right? And by the way, we are not experts on social media and ads, right? We are just, you know, website people. So, but my piece of advice would be check which CRM provides that. My hunch is every major CRM would provide that.
Yes. I'm sorry. Any other questions? Okay. So let's applaud one more time, Maciej. Maciej, thank you for bringing your knowledge to the WordPress community in Vienna. And as a small side.